very pleased to have with us this morning Reverend Dave Dixon to give our invocation. Reverend Dave.
Thank you, Billy. Let us pray. Lord God, today is the day that you have made. We rejoice and we are glad in it. Summertime is here. The sun is shining, birds are singing, the grass is green, all is well here in Putnam County. Well, almost everything. That's why we have commissioners to deal with issues and difficulties. They're gifted, they're talented, they're experienced. Lord, I pray this morning that you would place a special anointing and blessing upon each and every one of them. I pray that you would give them more patience, more wisdom, a spirit of good intentions, a spirit of cooperation. Lord, we know that those things come from the Holy Spirit. Thank you for his help, his comfort, and his teaching. Lord, Putnam County is a great place to live and work, and I pray that you would work through the county commissioners today to make a good thing even better. And we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Now will you join us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner, you're excused for the rest of it. Well, that was a good start. Thank you, Commissioner Warden. For our public comment portion of today's agenda, we have Mr. Don Cottrell. Cottrell.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I didn't make the last meeting. I went to the show at the plaza, and you guys missed a good show. Those 4 ladies from Germany. However, I could have started the meeting, except I was going to school up at the University of Georgia and commuting back and forth for the hours required that I, as a member of the Board of Assessors, I must go to. Interestingly enough, one of the classes I took up this year at the Vincent Institute was ethics. And what an interesting day that was. And a real issue with elected officials being ethical. And you know my problem with the probate judge, what she has done to this. She blames the commissioners, though. She doesn't say that she's after the taxpayers, she's after the commissioners that didn't do their just duty to get rid of her when they had the opportunity. Now, 3 of the current members did have the opportunity, but it tried late. However, the probate judge, in response to the county, said, what you could do is pass a resolution effectively removing the supplement at the end of the current term, not the day after she's sworn in again, which would be December 31st, 2016. That puts the burden on the current board. You will all be serving at that point. My attitude is, why not make that resolution today and the first meeting of July and the first meeting to make sure that it gets done this time. She's only stuck it to the county by the end of the year for a little, almost $28,000. That may not be a lot of money, but some of it's money. And I think that it's, this board, it is absolutely necessary that you do your proper duty. Thank you.
you, Mr. Cottrell. Our next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. The chair would entertain a motion to that effect. I have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. District 1.
Aye.
District 2.
Aye.
District 3.
Aye.
District 4 votes aye. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which is comprised of 3 items. It is the May 17th public hearing and regular meeting, the May 17th, 2016 closed session, and the May 19th, 2016 call meeting. Is there any item that any commissioner wishes to withdraw?
Mr. Chairman, I need to, I'd like to make a motion to have item C voted on separately, thus that I did not attend that call meeting.
Okay, we don't really need a motion for that. Any commissioner can withdraw an item from the consent agenda. So that leaves C to be voted on separately. Now we will vote on items 6A and 6B together. Do I have a motion to approve?
So be it, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Ward makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
And I have a second. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. District 1,
Aye.
District 2,
Aye.
District 3,
Aye.
the District 4 votes aye. Now for 6C, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So be it, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
And I hear a second. Any discussion on item C? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. District 1,
Aye.
District 2,
Abstain, Mr. Chairman.
District 3,
Aye.
District 4 votes aye. That motion carries. Next item on our agenda is number 7, approval of environmental health fees. And Ms. Catherine Hill is here. Would you like to introduce the subject and tell us what this is all about?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
All of y'all should have gotten, a cover letter with a packet of, some fee comparisons for other counties and, how our proposed fees would affect our revenues. The first page in our packet, I don't know if anybody has it right this minute, but, our first page in our packet was.
It'll be up on the board.
Okay, great. Okay. One of the reasons I'm here is that, unlike the rest of the health department, environmental fees need to be approved, through the county commissioners, due to, looking at total demographics, what the cost is to get our job done, things like that. So, we used, 2 other counties, that were similar in size for population and land mass. And, at least one of the other counties is also what I call a go-to county, meaning that, people go there because of what's there, like our lakes, or in their case, the mountains. Then, and we use Baldwin for comparison only because it's a county next to us, not because of anything to do with land mass or population. But we just wanted to show what's going on in another county right next to us. The second page is the fee comparison of each county. These are current fees. So ours currently haven't been approved since 2006. That was the last time we asked for an approval of new fees. But all these fees are current also. Baldwin County had not had a fee revision either. They're currently trying to go through one or we'll go through one in the next month or two. And then the third page, is a comparison of what the work actually, go down to the next page. This is a comparison of actual amount of work done in 2014 under the current fees. And if we just did the exact same amount of work with the new proposed fees, the revenue change would be about $11,000 per year. And then the last page is a comparison. It shows our current fees in the first column, and then our proposed fees, and some of them are in different colors depending on whether we even had a fee set up for it before. I mean, we kind of would lump it under, let's just say for on-site sewage, all commercial would be lumped under at 150, but now we would break it out. And for instance, that secondary residential would be, if you have a garage apartment. Right now, I just charge $150 per permit, but it would be $150 for the first resident and then $100 for like the garage apartment. So it'd be a little different. And if you have any questions about this, I know Dr. Hersey sits on our board of health, and he has already seen this and agreed that the changes were needed. But I understand he's not here today, so.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. I would now invite any of the commissioners that would like to ask any questions. Commissioner. I'm sorry. District Commissioner. I'm sorry. District 1 will answer. You need to pull your mic down.
Yeah. Kevin, I understand now, but can you explain myself what, say in my situation, how much of an increase?
Okay, yeah, to be specific, okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so, right now, the flat fee is $200 for a permit, every year. So that handles, our inspections during the year and, you know, your permit. So it's $200 right now. Anybody that has under 50 seats in their restaurant would still be $200. But if they started having more seats, 51 to 100 would be 300, and 101 to more would be 400. And the reason it's gotten broken out is that it does take longer to do the bigger facilities. You know, it's just more, the kitchens are usually bigger, there's more equipment. There's just more time that gets spent in there. So you personally would not have changed because you're under 50 seats. And we don't have that many restaurants that are over 100 seats. So not many people would have a $400 fee.
Mr. Foster.
Yeah, I noticed that most of the fees have just incrementally been. It was 2006 the last time
Yes.
fees were set, so that makes perfect sense. It really does. I noticed that the site evaluations commercial had gone up substantially more. Was that just due to your experience and how much time it takes to do evaluations on those large projects?
Yes, when these fees were getting established, there are other counties in our district that already have some of these fees, and already have, they're already at this current, level, for a year or two. But yes, the commercials take a lot more time. this was a couple years ago, but just for instance, when I had to do, the Bone Island Grill when it's out on Crooked Creek, they had a huge system. So I had to go every day for like a week and check that part of it. And to actually get it approved was really difficult too. So the approval time was really, so it was a lot of man hours to get all that work done. So we're just looking at, the fact that, you know, they can take more time than you know, residential, might be a site visit or two to get it approved, and then, you know, several hours to get the, inspection done when they're ready to close it, but, yeah, these commercials can take a long time.
That
And
was,
there's some small commercials that would be effective, but there's not that many. I don't write that many commercial permits.
that makes sense.
Catherine, is it your intention that you're to recover approximately what it costs you to do the actual work? Is that kind of what one of the thoughts behind this?
It is, yeah, the three things we look at is, the demographics of each county, and then, the actual man hours that it's taken to get the work done. And in the past, there's a history to it, that a long time ago, you know, this was supposed to be a zero fee, base. The state was supposed to, you know, cover it, or our taxes, and as time progressed, well then, the state pulled more money away, you know how it works. So the fees have been, changing, and even at the 150, when they got approved in 2006, the one before that, like in 99, I think, before I got here, let's just say the septic permit was $100, and then it went to $150 in 2006. So, it is based on a lot of things, including the fact that the state keeps pulling more and more money away.
So the money that you collect, does that go to just your office, or does that go to the health department?
Yeah.
Or does it go back to the state?
No, it goes to the whole health department. We're small enough that it does offset our salaries, yes, but it gets put in a pot for the whole health department, and I wish I had Irene here to explain that, but we're small enough that we don't have a separate environmental budget and a separate nursing budget, so all the monies collected kind of go against all the. So the fees have been changing, and even at the 150, when they got approved in 2006, the one before that, like in 99, I think, before I got here, let's just say the septic permit was $100, and then it went to $150 in 2006. So, it is based on a lot of things, including the fact that the state keeps pulling more and more money away.
So the money that you collect, does that go to just your office, or does that go to the health department?
Yeah.
Or does it go back to the state?
No, it goes to the whole health department. We're small enough that it does offset our salaries, yes, but it gets put in a pot for the whole health department, and I wish I had Irene here to explain that, but we're small enough that we don't have a separate environmental budget and a separate nursing budget, so all the monies collected kind of go against all the salaries. But yes, this is based on my work. These changes are, yes, based on what it costs for my department to get the work done. Yeah.
Do I have any other questions, comments from the commissioners?
I didn't quite understand that portion of it, because
I know, I wish I had Irene here, but she could really talk money, but much better than me, I'm sorry.
if, I was setting up my own salary, it's gonna continue to go up.
Yes, you're correct, and, that's
That's not really how it works.
I'm sorry?
That's not how it works. You were stating that your fee is split among all the, health department employees. So if you went up to $500, we know the split between them.
Well, now, it's based on, I know, it's confusing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But, in this, and I wish I had that in here, but in the scheme of things, we're a small enough health department, actually, our fees would have to probably go up a lot more if, it was based on just our EH budget. But, we get offset by flu shots, you know, there's, a lot of flu shots given every year, so then our fees, you know, for the whole health department, we keep costs down because they don't separate us out. I think actually if they separated us out and tried to run us just on our own salaries, our two salaries, things would probably have to be a little bit even higher than they are. But this is a good estimate of what it does cost to, you know, go get this work done based on an hour of our salary. So then not everything is 1 hour. Most things are 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours or more. So yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, sir.
if I understand correctly, your salary doesn't go up and nobody's salary goes up because of this extra money. This just comes closer to matching the cost that you have for those personnel to provide this service.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not making money on this situation.
So,
We're just No, I'm not gonna get a big increase because y'all are doing this. No.
This
I
is
promise. The
basic,
state doesn't work that way. No.
this is basically just another input into your budget that
Yes.
you use to do whatever is necessary.
Yes. I mean, you know, our environmental salaries have gone up since 2006. So to bring a new environmentalist in, it's not the same fee that it was, you know, 2006. So yeah, this is just to kind of grow with the times. And my supervisor was supposed to be here, and she said, you know, please apologize for it being so long since we've had an increase. Of course, I think it's a good thing, but I'm a taxpayer too, you know. But she said, you know, in the future, it'll probably be every 3 to 4 years that we'll ask for an increase, and it'll be smaller increments, not big jumps like this.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you, Ms. Hill, appreciate that. I believe we're at the point now that the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the increases in the environmental health fees as proposed by Director Tuck.
I have a motion to approve, I have a second from Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. District 1? Aye. 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4 votes aye. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Next item on our agenda is number 8, which is the authorization for our chairman to sign the Georgia Department of Corrections FY17 inmate work detail contract. And I believe that's coming from our county manager. If you'd like to introduce the subject, sir.
Yes, sir. The contract in your packet is a continuation of what we have currently. The fee is the same as we paid last year, and if you'd like to continue it, that would be great.
Why wouldn't we?
Well, the second part of this will, when we discuss the next part.
Does any of the commissioners have any questions for the county manager?
I do. By virtue of the fact that you are asking us to do this, then that means that the detail has improved over the years, because at one point, several times, we've had some problems with them.
And my remedy is I go to work a whole lot quicker now, and we get it ironed out. And we still have issues with work days, rainouts, lockdowns, and those are just necessary evils of the criminals that we're dealing with, so.
People with their
That's gonna be a better caliber of criminal for any more attorney.
People will deal with, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Chair would entertain a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the work contract.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the chairman to sign the Georgia Department of Corrections fiscal year 17 inmate work detail contract.
Second, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. District 1? Aye. District 2? District 3? Aye. District 4 votes aye. The motion carries. Next item is a discussion and possible action on the second inmate work detail, and I guess our county manager will introduce that subject.
Yes, sir. I'd like to open it up to hear your thoughts and kind of explain why I'm looking into this. Currently, we are experiencing robust employment in the county. I have been struggling to hire anyone that would make less than $10 an hour. That includes a lot of part-time help, seasonal help, most importantly, lifeguard help. We tried to open a pool this year. We had 0 applications for lifeguards when we advertised in Grain, Morgan, here, and I believe Baltimore, but we advertised in surrounding counties and got no responses. And looking at a second inmate work detail, well, let me first explain. Our primary work detail is supposed to be out there cutting bridges, right-of-ways, overpasses, picking up trash ahead of the lawnmower crew. And that's something that goes on all year. However, that crew is now being converted to Oconee Springs, animal control, recreation, and a whole bunch of other places, since we can't get the lower end workforce in place. If we were to pick up the second workforce, then for example, I would put them at Oconee Springs, recreation, golf, and animal control 1 day a week each to help alleviate their issues and address some of their problems. Yeah, it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination because they are subject to everything I mentioned before about being locked down or not coming out. And that would put our primary crew back to the roads, bridges, weeding, and stuff like that, picking up trash. So, if y'all were to decide or give me some input as to your thoughts on this, what you'd like to see, I'd like to at least hear what you have to say about, or any questions or concerns about looking into this. Open it for discussion. That's kind of.
Mr. Chairman, and what you saying Oconee Springs, this cleanup crew of you, and you mentioned the food you couldn't get, you wouldn't be looking at that for lifeguards or nothing of that nature?
No, they wouldn't be a lifeguard at all. They would be out there cleaning, weeding, Oconee Springs Park, the area right across from the cabins, all that grass, weeds, whatever that needs to come out. That's what they would be doing, and then raking the beach, doing maintenance on the buoys and things like that, so on the decks.
I know that Oconee Springs, you have an influx of most kids most of the time.
Well, we would coordinate the inmates when Oconee Springs closed on Tuesday. So that's how we.
It wouldn't be a, okay. I think it would be a liability to have.
Oh, yeah, there's a risk associated with it, and that's a good point to make. They're convicts.
Yeah.
So, and then we get the sheriff's guard, our drug dogs come up, and they go through the shop at Public Works now, and they walk recreation now. So we just check and see what we find, if anything. So, yeah, there's some other issues I'm concerned with as well, even with our current group.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, detail work. I guess all of us are, to a certain degree. We've been doing it for a while, the county has, and of course, we've had a lot of discussions about it, a lot of things that we've had to iron out, both on our end and with the Georgia Department of Corrections. For the most part, I really think it's ironed out pretty well. Which I really don't have any real reservations with them being at any of those sites that you mentioned. Except for I will say that the Recreation Department, I feel would need a little bit more of a higher degree of security in some form of way, and I feel sure that can happen. But what will another detail, what are we paying for our details now, and what will another one cost? Will it be the same amount or what?
Yes, it'll be the same amount, I believe that it was under $38,000 a year.
38 is still there. And with that, you get about 5-6 people plus a supervisor, more or less.
Yeah, the maximum is 10. So, yeah.
But you don't have 10 every day.
It's,
I know
I will tell you
sometimes
when the
too.
weather's nice.
I know.
If the weather's gonna be hot or overcast, there's a few more sick calls in the morning. The attorney was right. We need to back
My
up.
point, there are people. So, my point,
Mr. Foster.
Mr. County Manager, we, apparently you have advertised for some of these positions at the $8.50 an hour or whatever rate you can get an hour, and you've had no applicants, or is it,
The lifeguard position is worth paying.
is it your opinion that is solely, is that because there isn't available workforce, or do you believe that if the wage was increased, the pay scale were increased, that we would have applicants?
Well, I think we're experiencing, part of it from the success of the development, or the economic development in the county. I think some folks are working, at Legacy, at Alto, or wherever, and not that they're seeing workforce, but I think a lot of kids are paid to stay home too, so I think that there's an opportunity to make as much money sitting at the house.
I like to know how to make money sitting at home.
Employment or just not wanting to work.
If I could finish my comment, I'm happy to go there.
I have a question.
Right.
So they gotta be getting money, somebody's gotta be paying them, because you can't sit at home and do nothing. So the money's gotta be coming in from an outside source other than work.
Well, I don't necessarily have any, obviously we save a lot of money by having these folks, inmates be available, and through this contract, we save a lot of money. I would prefer around our guests to the county, or Coney Springs Park, and in our recreation department, situations where they come in direct contact with people involved in our various programs and facilities. I would really prefer that we had wage earning people from the community that could be enticed by the wage to come here and work, depending upon inmate. Although I must be wrong. So in any case, I have mixed feelings about it, whether or not it's worth it to attempt to offer a little bit better pay package and see if we could attract at least some people to work, especially as Mr. Second District said, the recreation department, the Coney Springs Park, places where we had guests. I think it represents the county better. But
The one thing to keep in mind also is the new Department of Labor rules coming out in December. There's gonna be a significant amount of overtime that you will see reflected in the upcoming budget, because we have people who fall underneath the thresholds of qualifying for overtime, and some of the operations like Coney Springs Park that are 7-day-a-week or 6-day-a-week operations, animal control is 6 or 7-day-a-week operation. These folks will now be getting paid for their time to go in to care for the animals, to work the farm. So there's we want quality folks, then we're gonna have to start paying for that. Where that is, I usually think being a lifeguard was a great job in the summertime, and I was just shocked that we didn't get it. Now the American Red Cross, for example, is charging $300 for this course, which is a lot of money to a high school, college kid looking to work part-time. Do we do it, make them full-time employees, or not full-time, seasonal employees, and cover that cost as part of doing business? I don't know. So, that's kind of where we're at. I agree with, I would much rather have more professional staff out of the spring park than the work department. I don't think the inmates need to be out on the side of the road helping the grassroots.
So if we were to advertise, for some of these positions, again, because that's how you decide how much you have to pay people, is what people are willing to come to work for, right? It's not like a minimum wage increase, it's just increasing the wage until
We get interest.
it's acceptable for somebody to work for that wage. So perhaps we could try that, and if we could plug those people into those positions where they work directly with our guests and our people in our programs, and then try to utilize, because I'm not against this program, and utilize these people, as you say, in these more remote situations where there's more labor intensive, without as much contact with the public.
And then once we go too high, the downside also is that we're gonna have issues with the starting salary at EMS and fire. There's guys that will get leap time, people too high. So back in the day when that salary and wage study was done, back in 05, 06, I guess, and we never really implemented that program either, so we were behind the curve then, and now it's gonna be interesting to try to match that number up with overlaying $9.59 an hour.
Well, as much as I hate seeing our costs go up at all, if giving somebody $10.50 an hour is what it costs to get somebody to take the garbage out, and that leapfrogs an EMS guy, then I would make the argument that the EMS guy needs to have a better wage if we can't get somebody to take the garbage out for the same money.
I agree.
So, much as I don't want to see our costs go up.
Those are all the factors we're trying to weigh, and yeah, it's not gonna be easy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm a little bit confused as to what you actually wanted the inmates to do. I heard you, and my mindset was on the fact that, you know, we always have inmates, had inmates to do certain things, cutting grass, or, you know, I remember at the senior citizen, they would help, what else we have lifting, sweeping, mopping, and what have you. Those particular things are what I had in mind. But to be constantly, if that was the case, in the area where our younger people are, then no, I would not agree with that. But in speaking and thinking about the salary, I have to compare with the commissioner from the 3rd district and perhaps the commissioner also from the 1st district, when $10 an hour is just too low. I look at what others are making in the county, and I guess I'll be looking at the whole picture and thinking, wow, we offer some great salaries. But if the EMS people and whatever are not making much more than that, considering the danger that they're facing every day, I think we need to really revisit all of this. I was with, I had guests at my house over the holiday, and there were several high school students there who will be working with the school system this summer, beginning next week. And I'm talking about 10th grade students are making $8 an hour. So if you got 24-year-old, 22, 23-year-olds at $10 an hour trying to feed a family, yes, I understand a little bit is something, but making money at home when you say maybe perhaps unemployment, I can almost see taking unemployment until something better come about. As far as legacy and what have you, yes, they are hiring, they've hired some. But those particular people that they hired, their employment run out. So they didn't have a choice really when they had to feed families, you know. But, $10 is just too low, just too low.
I appreciate y'all listening. I mean, this is kind of what we're struggling against, and so, yeah, we'll look at it, and I appreciate your input, I really do. This is there's a lot of balls in the air to try to get across the finish line and not adversely impact the taxpayer and provide the best quality for the least possible cost. My favorite line. Best quality service, best possible service for the least possible cost.
Well, we have to talk about that at least.
All right, well, thank y'all.
I think we probably broadened the subject there, probably for a good reason. We're back to the actual discussion of the action of the second inmate work detail. I appreciate the comments that we might need to take a look at the salary structure throughout. That's obviously an agenda item for another day and some background work. But to the point of our agenda item is, do I hear any more discussion or comments? I'll entertain a motion as to the agenda item.
I would, offer the motion for discussion purposes, further discussion.
I have a motion to approve a second inmate work detail. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second discussion. Commissioner, for the second district.
Yes, sir, I have another question. I think the discussion we've had just now, prior to the motion, tell us once again, Mr. Manager, exactly where you will be placing these particular inmates and what they will be doing.
Okay, 1 day a week, they would be up at Oconee Springs Park, maintaining the grounds, cleaning, painting, general maintenance, and leasing up the area. Another day, they would be at animal control, same thing. And then another day, they'd be at the rec department doing the same thing. And then, what was it? Animal control, right? Sorry, get out there. Those are the 4 places things. Right, and then when the public would be involved, they would get back out on the road again with regular maintenance crew for Oconee Springs Park. So that's a concern, you don't want to interact with the public. As soon as they're done, they're back picking up trash, weed eating bridges and right away. So we'll put them to work, and I'll address that issue to keep them basically out of the public eye when it's time for the public to be here.
I can see that working. I really can in golf course because they've been there for years at the golf course. We've had at least 2, maybe 3 inmates placed there. When you're talking about a crew of 10, that may become an issue as far as the public is concerned. But I can see it working at the golf course. Perhaps the animal control outside cleaning, painting the building if you need it, what have you. The recreation, I still have an issue with recreation because my issue, my reservation with the recreation is that young people get there early and they stay, it's hard parents have a hard time pulling their kids away from the recreation department. I know for a fact, my grandchildren, when they went there, one in particular, he would be like there at 8 in the morning, drop them off. Do you want lunch at 2 o'clock? No, I'm good. 3 o'clock, when you coming home? 6 o'clock, he walks in the door, you know what I'm saying? And they play hard all day long. And I just think, and I know you're talking about outside with these inmates, but children are outside as well. So I think I'm not saying that it couldn't work, but what I'm saying is that we have to be very careful with the placement at the recreation department, a little bit more so than at the other sites.
And I will, and then I understand your concern, especially during summertime when the kids are all over the place, but we went past Jimmy Davis 2 days ago.
Oh, tell me about it. Oh, yes, it
And
is.
so that's, they need to get out there, cut the grass and get everything, and then we can cart them off and get them working. We will limit the interaction,
Yeah, cool.
or the opportunity to interact with the younger folks.
Thank you.
I will.
Any other discussion? I guess, is it possible that each one of the 4 departments you just mentioned, that's where the money would come from to pay for it?
Oh, we're gonna have to, sir, the cost will be split. They'll get a quarter of it each of them.
So hopefully the fund balance won't be impacted by this.
Right, and we're having people, and I'll use the golf course for example, I don't know how many of you know David out there, he's a part-time guy. He has gone to the VA for some serious cancer work and may not come back. So we are just short-staffed, and again, another position, David wasn't making a whole lot of money. We got no interest, David can't get out there, we need anymore, and we're worried about him coming back, so. Those are considerations with the lowering the pay scale, quite honestly.
I actually have no objections to the additional work detail, I just wanted to make sure we knew how we're gonna pay for it. Okay, any further discussion, last chance, I'll call for a vote. District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4 votes aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Foster?
before we take up the next issue, can I ask for a 5-minute recess?
You certainly may. Personal privilege, 5-minute break.
You notice I didn't ask for 7 because it's a short agenda.
Yes, right. I was on track for under an hour.
There we go.
Okay, if I can call the meeting back to order. We have one last item on the agenda for action or possible action. And that's a discussion of possible action on the potential moratorium on large group special events. And I guess, Mr. County Manager, you're the main speaker today, so would you like to introduce this subject?
I would. We've had some special events in the county, and in looking at how to possibly address some of these with respect to the dead body and the overdoses that occurred out there. Possibly issuing a moratorium, and I have our planning and zoning director here with all the knowledge on special event permits. And this is to ask you all to look at about a 180-day moratorium so that we can address this with Ms. Jackson and the sheriff and get something to you all for your consideration at a later date. Ms. Jackson, here to share.
Thank you. I agree with the county manager. In time past prior to this happening, of course, our event permit and the way we handle things would suffice. But now that this chain of events has occurred, I do feel that we need to look at implementing something that would have a little bit more teeth and a little bit more requirements as far as getting the permit. One thing we do need to look at is currently in our zoning ordinance, under the performance standards, we do have a little small section. It's under the performance standards, under the letter M. We have about 7 bullets under there for public events. But I think that in looking at some of the material that the county manager has provided us with, I think that it would be a good idea for us to sit down and have a work session and just kind of draft code in general to deal with public events and special events. Our event permit, we need to revise that as well. So I do feel that it merits attention.
Any questions from our commissioners?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's very unfortunate that the incidents happen, and definitely, you know, Putnam County, we would definitely want something in place that, that would most likely and hopefully prevent things like that. But what is it exactly are we talking about, put a moratorium on? I heard what you said, I understand that, but 4th of July is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And people are looking for things to do. Are we talking about, you know, we can have something that's 20 people more or less, 50 people or less, or anything over 100, we can't do it until we do this or something like that. Because people look for activity. I mean, that's the norm.
Well, I would think that it would, as far as 4th of July, just your regular gatherings, I wouldn't think that it would apply to that. Is that correct? It would just be like your large scale events.
I mean, a number, even house parties can get large.
Right, and we had looked at some ordinance codes from Walker, Chattooga County, trying to mirror what they did because they dealt with this very issue. And there are a list of exemptions, like churches and those kind of things, county sponsored events that are all, basically, the last page of this gives you a list of exemptions.
Right.
It talks about the process of what you gotta go, what's expected, everything from the review of the county and the, I believe it was the sheriff up there.
The sheriff, public works.
Yeah, there's a 30-day review period that would kind of lay this out for approval or not. And eventually, that's where I would like it to come. Have you all draft some code when we get one of these funky situations to come here to be approved or not. So that's, right now, they had it, the issue with private property, and this is something we need to look at, but this has worked, it has taken care of this same issue in North Georgia, and to try to mirror that was kind of the goal. And Lisa is right, we're gonna have to sit down and talk it through with y'all. But all we're asking for now is just a 180-day moratorium so we can develop this special event permit. And Adam brought up a good point. He said, well, wouldn't that special event permit include the dairy festival? I would say you might incorporate the area just to clean it up. It's inside the city limits. It's not.
That was gonna be my next question. Also, you know, people now, and I'm not saying we don't leave anything in place, again, that incident is just awful, to say the least. But, you know, birthday parties, people now are renting, places to have, people are really celebrating birthdays like never before. And, you know, so for 180 days, we got to put birthdays don't stop coming. We got to put a stop on that?
Can I respond?
I would think that in a moratorium, you can specify exclusions.
Right.
It's a 100-day moratorium except for,
Well, that's what we're getting at.
or make it, anything over 200 or 300 or whatever.
Well, I think, Adam, if you would correct me if I'm wrong, as far as venues that have bona fide venues that are licensed for a special event, I don't think that would apply to them. Would it? If you have a venue?
Well, technically, you know, we don't have a lot of regulation now in the county on, those kind of, activities. And the way that the moratorium, from what I understand, would have to be drafted, would have to include both private and public property. I think drawing that line is important, being able to determine which ones will, and which activities would be covered and wouldn't be. And it's, I don't know how, hearing from some of the comments from the board, I do think that it's important to move forward with something, in order to give us time to come up with, what we want to do. But I think part of the conversation we're having now is carving out those exceptions. I think I've got a proposed moratorium, that Lynn I've added to since I've sent it to you, so I'll have to send it again, that attempts to carve that out, but I would want this board to weigh in and have their comments on specifically what they would be willing to cover and wouldn't be.
Would it apply to places like Cricket Pine? That's what you're talking about, places who will allow special events, who are licensed. I think that's what Commissioner Reed is referring to.
Places like that.
Mr.
Oh, Commissioner.
No, it's second district commissioner advises me she wasn't finished.
To piggyback on what Adams or whoever made the question, Ms. Jackson on Crooked Pines, that's one in particular. I mean, it's a public place. They have their license to hold events and what have you. But if you're gonna do a moratorium, then a moratorium is for any and everybody, all those entities. So I can almost bet you that some of these things are already booked for within the 180-day time frame. So, I mean, it's one thing to come and ask. I think we're all open to listening and we're all saying, yes, something needs to be done. But are we just gonna say, boom, from this day forward, we're gonna do 180 days and nothing happened? And are we going to say the moratorium will begin August 1, September 1, or something like that? That's what we're trying to teach for.
Well, we can set it up however you like, but that's, the main purpose of this is to try and mitigate what happened.
Understood.
And I'm with you, I don't want any collateral damage with any of the existing businesses coming in. How we get there is top of the conversation.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Commissioner Foster.
I'm opposed to the moratorium. absolutely in support of working on the ordinance to make sure that it has the appropriate controls and mechanisms for us to make sure that we don't have the kind of special events that tend to bring drugs and inappropriate behavior into Putnam County. I don't know how you word that and not infringe on other people's rights. But there are a number of special events that I'm aware of that are being planned in the 3rd District right now. One of them is a major kickoff to the football season, and with a local realty firm that I'm involved with, so I don't know if I even have to recuse myself from the thing, but they're planning on a festival, tent type of an arrangement, not with alcohol, but with a lot of activities and different things going on, potentially in Putnam County that would involve up to 2,500 people. And that, those kind of people have been able to do those things in Putnam County for a long time responsibly. I mean, I'm unaware, this is an awful thing that happened the other day when a lady died. Apparently from a seizure. I haven't heard whether or not they've definitively said whether drugs were involved, and that was handled inappropriately. Looking at the steps that group went through, they went through quite a number of hurdles with the fire department and the sheriff's office and a number of others to get the permit to be out there. It may not have been enough. Yeah, well, according to the people who own the property, they were presented with a lot of paperwork concerning the event with the water issue and other things like that. But that being said, we haven't had any other issues since the lobbyings back in whenever that was. And we ought to be able to, in my opinion, we ought to be able to put together something within a reasonable time frame without affecting the general public's ability to enjoy their summer and have the kind of events that they want to. And speaking to that, I would very much like, of course, starting, I don't know when it was now, maybe 6 months ago, I asked that we do a review of special permits for large events with regard to alcohol licensing. And I would absolutely like to see that as a portion of this. Seems the perfect time and place to introduce the question of our alcohol licensing, but we didn't have a moratorium to do that. And so I'm against the moratorium. I'm all for the changes in the ordinance. And yeah, all for making our ordinance better, but I don't see the need for the moratorium and making things unnecessarily difficult on the number of people that may be planning events over the summer.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Ward. I just had, to go back to one of the comments that Paul made, that you will only be doing this for the unincorporated portion of the county. I think that's gonna create one heck of a problem if you right on the county line, city-county line, and decide to do. And you got come out with a yardstick and measure where if we make any rules change, it should include the whole county, not just,
We got a city government.
I know they have a city government, or in it also in the county. Is it in the county?
If I could just clarify to the board too, Lynn, if you could scroll up a little bit, and I apologize for not saying this earlier. If you'll look, one of the ways that you try to set the line for what we've been discussing has to do for some of the situations that we talked about, like birthday parties or 4th of July barbecues. If you look at, it'd be the 3rd line at the bottom of this page. It's a little bit, there's a sense of objectivity, or excuse me, subjectivity to what you're going to be regulating, but there is a requirement where there is an impact on government services on public right-of-ways. Basically what that says is that if the occasion or gathering is such that would cause, and that's the term of art there, impact on government services, that would be where you would have delineation between what's covered and what's not. So for instance, if somebody is holding an event at a private location where there's only going to be a few people there, or people, say you do have just a birthday party or a barbecue, more than likely you're not going to cross that threshold. If someone's holding a large scale party out maybe in a field somewhere and you're having lots and lots of people drive in, drive out, that is sort of the delineation between the two. Now, that is subjective, and obviously our county administration and to some extent our law enforcement is going to have to be the one that draws that line. That's out there, and unfortunately, it's going to be difficult to delineate more than that, because then we start inquiring to, okay, is this for a birthday party, or is this that's those kind of things. You may be able to build a better mousetrap. You may want to think about the number of attendees and things like that. But I don't think I clarified that enough when I talked last. That is there.
That's good. Can I ask you a question? We're talking about a 180-day moratorium or some amount of time, for this moratorium. I really had hoped that we would have already dealt with the alcohol permit situation. I'm really not really pleased that we haven't taken that up. I think it's been too long. And I'd like to see this go through on a more efficient schedule. So my idea here would be not to have a moratorium, but to move forward deliberately with this process by which we're brought these ordinance changes to clarify special events and alcohol use at special events. And it doesn't seem to me, especially I saw another county that had an ordinance that we were going to sort of model the thing after. Seems fine to me. Doesn't mean we should take a meeting, 2 meetings, maybe 3 meetings, and we're done. The sheriff's already had his input on the alcohol license. We've already had information from him on that, what he would prefer, a long time to look at it. It doesn't seem to me like this should take that long. I think 180 days or whatever the moratorium. I just don't think we need it. I don't think there's been enough cause. We've had one thing, and I don't think a knee-jerk reaction to one incident at one meeting is a reason to deny the general public use of their property and things for these types of events. And I don't like the fact that it's subjective either, that we're going to decide whether we like the idea of what it is that somebody's going to do. Okay for football, but not okay for rock concert. Okay for rodeo, but not okay for pig wrestling. So, I mean, I don't like that. So anyway, my position is pretty clear, but I would like to move forward with the changes as quickly as possible so we can take this to public hearings and get something in our ordinance. That's all I have, Mr.
Anything else from our commissioners? If I might be permitted, I think the initial request was valid. However, I think we brought up enough issues here to suggest that a strict 180-day moratorium is probably not appropriate. I'm certainly swayed by the argument that we probably need to take care of this in some reasonably quick order, and recognizing that there's a lot of bureaucracy that's involved in an ordinance change. So I think I would agree that we probably do need to move out smartly on this. If I get to sense the board that we're not ready for a moratorium as it is being presented or as we discussed, if anybody is of that mind, I would accept the motion to that effect. Otherwise, I guess, wait a minute, I'll see if there is a motion to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, I would just make a motion that we instruct the staff to move forward as quickly as possible with suggested changes to our ordinance regarding special large group events, including the alcohol portion of the ordinance, and that we do not enter into a moratorium as requested. So no moratorium, but rather that we instruct the staff to move forward with all due haste in putting together some ordinance changes for us to look at.
Second.
I think we could probably concise that down.
Sure.
It's in there, as to the motion that we basically do not have a moratorium, but move smartly ahead.
Smartly. That's a good, I like that better than
With all due haste, that is actually more, technically correct, with all due haste to, put together a special events, as well, and to include the alcohol portion that has been mentioned before. And I have a motion and a second to assist in that effect. Any other discussion, Commissioner Foster?
yes.
Hearing no further discussion, the chair will now ask for the vote. District 1? Aye. District 2? Aye. District 3?
Aye.
District 4 votes aye. Motion carries. We're now down to item number 11, which is the county manager's report.
Just two things, sir. There is a new fire truck in the city station at the moment. Shane has received his new vehicle. We're not explaining my vehicle yesterday. We had a water pump issue, and Piedmont Water was forced to fill their tanks with their wells due to the electronic issue with the pumps. Nobody was technically out of service, it's just that well water coming into the tank. And it's by the residents, so you may hear something up in your neck of the woods about the water quality being harder than usual. And that's all I had.
Is the high school aware of that? Is the high school aware that they may be back to well water?
That was fixed, that was only yesterday.
Oh, got it. County attorney?
No report.
None from our county attorney. Commissioner, District 1?
Mr. Chairman, I would love to invite all of you out next Saturday. If not come out, we'll have tickets available. We're selling fish plates at a fundraiser for our proposed fire department. We're one of the areas in the county that do not have a fire station. We're working hard to get a fire station, and we appreciate all the support we can get from everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reed? Commissioner Foster?
I just had, one thing, Mr. Chairman, it's kind of in line with what the county manager was talking about, with trying to find people to work for a wage, anymore. And I just heard these figures, as I was coming in, but I think they're kind of interesting. The government, through one of their brilliant, estimating analysts, said that we would create 175,000 jobs, during May of 2016. It ends up that we created 38,000. So that's something of a miss right there. I don't know how they do the estimates, but that was something of a miss. But the more important thing was that they said that during the month of May, 480,000 people in the United States left the workforce. I don't know, let that number just sink in here for a minute, because the last thing I knew, a few years ago, only 90 million people in the United States were actively employed, or at least reporting that they were, out of well over 300 million people. And now we lose chunks like 480,000. And the unemployment rate dropped to 4.7%. So I don't know what all that means, whether it means that we're all independently wealthy and no longer need to work, or whether it means we're all on some secret program of having people provide for us. I just thought it was interesting, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we can't get people to work for whatever wage we put up, is folks just don't want to. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just have one announcement. I think probably all of y'all know by now, but Mr. Ralph Nix, who is the Executive Director of the Middle Georgia Regional Commission is retiring at the end of June. And his retirement reception is scheduled for June the 22nd from 4 until 7 p.m. at the Middle Georgia Regional Commission office. There is no formal, just drop in, say hello and good luck and all that sort of stuff. So Ralph has been there for some 42 years, somewhat associated with the Regional Commission, and I'm comfortable he's going to be missed. So everybody's invited to stop by and wish Ralph a happy retirement. That's all I have. Any last thoughts from anyone? Otherwise, I accept the motion to adjourn.
So,
Motion, second, any discussion, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. District 1.
aye.
District 2.
Aye.
District 3.
Aye.
District 4 votes aye, motion carries. We're adjourned.